Hi, Professor Nielsen. So, this final really had me brewing on what subject to write about. There are several controversial issues in today's world, and trying to determine which would be something my final would be about was very difficult. Over the course of 3 weeks, I have battled with what exactly could be done about the issues that came to mind. Then something occurred to me after the paper was written. I was trying too hard to solve many issues instead of choosing a single problem that could be solved today. This is the problem the government faces, seeing many issues and trying to determine which takes precedence over another. One issue that I have seen grow over the years is one that involves law enforcement. Whether it is police brutality or civilians attacking the police, there are many occurrences that involve one side of the story being true and the other being a fabrication of the victim. Whether that victim is the officer or the civilian, we don't know for sure. So, what is happening in this world to cause such an issue? Some say that it is a racial discrimination. The police officers targeted minorities and progressed their arrests to brutal beatings. Others say that civilians target police officers and force their hands and report half the story. The issue is, we as a government and a society are never made aware of the truth behind the arrests. There are two sides of the story that need to be told, and one side isn't as truthful as we would hope. Citizens are only being shown what groups of people want them to see. These groups are independent amateur filmmakers, and those already against law enforcement, that share videos on social media of situations where police officers took things too far with their arrests. So, how does the government solve this problem? This was a hard decision to come by, because as a government, there are several people, voices, and opinions that come together into a decision to be made. I never realized how hard it was to try to solve a problem until it was just me trying to figure out a way to stop something as controversial as the police versus the citizens. Trying to remain impartial and not use personal feelings in the decision is an issue I faced. With the problem this world is facing, a war between law enforcement and the citizens they are sworn to protect, not acting with a bias is one-sided, especially because the government consists of only myself. But something needs to be done about the lack of trust among citizens and law enforcement officers. As of right now, there are only 29 states that allow their officers to wear body cameras. These cameras do not record sound, but the video is admissible in court during trials. I propose that, as the government, a law is passed that always requires all police officers to wear body cameras during their patrol. These body cameras are not manually operated and cannot be turned off or on by the officer during the officer's patrolling hours. The footage would be broadcasted to the station and recorded and filed under their rank and name. Each body camera is assigned to an officer for the remainder of his or her duty as a cop. They are not to be taken home under any circumstances, and they are not to be tampered with. Each of these cameras will be inspected before and after their shifts to ensure that they are in good working order every time. These body cameras will serve as third-party witness to all and any arrests. They are there to protect the citizens and the police officers alike. Nowadays, bystanders use their phones, tablets, and any other type of recording device to film any encounters with police officers. But what is posted is only what the recorder wants people to see. Nowadays, what's being seen is police brutality against minorities. The videos are edited and never contain all the information to lead citizens to this conclusion. They are altered for the viewers that are targeted and already stand on one side of the argument for or against law enforcement, to convince millions of people to side against law enforcement. These body cameras can not only serve as a witness for each side of the case, but they can also help discourage excessive force on the officer's side. It can be rumored that more and more officers use their position to use excessive force against civilians that do not want to cooperate with their arrests. There was a situation just a week ago of an actor being pulled over in Las Vegas for a broken taillight, and he claimed that the officer had him get out of the car, shoved the actor against the car while patting him down and pushing him around. Again, only a claim that cannot be proven one way or the other because it turns into hearsay. The body cameras can be the voice of truth that no one can dispute. They can also prove that extra measures were needed to be taken because a civilian attacked first, and can protect both sides from false claims. The footage collected can also be used as a training exercise in showing rookie officers the do's and don'ts of policing. They can show that Big Brother is watching and to ensure that the work being done day to day is done by the book and in the best interest of the citizens and officers alike. With the newer body cameras, audio and visual should be recorded during the patrol, and both should be admissible in court, if the case comes to it. The footage does not necessarily need to be monitored. That could be the choice for each police precinct individually, but it would be required to be recorded and held for at least 7 years. The footage would be accessed through internal affairs officers that investigate the claims made against the police officers. It would provide the necessary evidence to show exactly what happens during dangerous calls that end in violence or death. There have been times where the police have been accused of using excessive force in arrests or simple traffic violations that turn into arrests. Some of these instances, officers claim that the citizen acted first, while the citizens claim they were attacked without doing anything to instigate the issue. With these cameras, it will help prove either that the police officer was in the wrong or the civilian attacked, and the officer had no choice but to defend themselves. With this legislation, police officers and citizens would be held accountable for their actions. The footage couldn't be tampered with, couldn't be edited, couldn't be turned off because the officer wanted to attack. It would be raw footage of the encounter between the officer in question and the citizen filing the suit. This would be beneficial for society and the government because it would show not only that the government cares about the citizens, but also to help protect the police officers from targeted violence. A few days ago, a man ran over a bicycle cop for trying to pull him over for a simple speeding ticket. Whether or not the man was aware of the situation he put himself in, or that he was intentionally trying to hurt the officer to get away with speeding, the truth is unknown. Both sides of this war need to be protected, and having these body cameras could help mend the bridges between the officers who do their jobs accordingly and the citizens who rely on their help. You being a former police officer, I'm very curious to know what you would think about being held accountable for your actions on a day-to-day basis, wearing a body camera that shows exactly what you are doing at all times. Unfortunately, I didn't have an officer to interview or ask these types of questions to know what they would think. But as a citizen, I would know that I would feel a little more comfortable and confident in our police officers as well as our citizens to behave accordingly. I think it would build more trust between law enforcement and citizens, knowing that both sides could be held accountable for what they can and cannot do, and that basically no one could get away with what has been going on as of late. So I hope you have a wonderful summer. It was nice taking your class again, and I will see you on Tuesday.